Hey, Tony Gas here, popping in. Now, we are still on us a little teaching series today, this week. And today we are talking about the silent breakup. And this really is not necessarily like a breakup, like you going your separate ways, but there's a lot of couples that are together but broken up. And they're together out of convenience, paying bills, raising the kids, but not actually together. And what we want to do is come out of that space, because if you're going to live together, if you're going to talk every day, you might as well get to know one another all over again and build. But I want to go through some of those situations, some of those signs, and talk about that, because that is a space that a lot of people reside in their relationship, and it starts to happen and it'll catch you off guard, and it's that resentment that builds up, and you start to go from one thing to another, but it's like you're still together but you're emotionally distant. And that comes from what we've been talking about this week. If you missed any of the videos this week where we're talking about communication and all those different things, this is a result of poor communication and not having emotional security or emotional safety in a relationship. Then you go through the silent breakup. And so you have to think about it and be able to, process that. And when you look at it from the outside looking in, you start to be able to understand the emotional disconnect, and you'll see where it's almost like you have a roommate, but in order to reconnect, it takes effort. It takes real effort, real intentionality. It takes healing, forgiving. It may be a bunch of prayer, maybe some coaching. As you see my mentor.life, you got to get on there. Get on my mentor.life, get your life together, and go ahead, get that going. And you got to be able to build. Now, the first part of this that I want to touch on is how couples drift apart even when still physically together. Now, this right here, silent, and I jotted down a few talking points here where we're going to touch on this. You physically together, but you drifting apart. Now, the number one thing where this happens is from the nasty movies. The nasty movies today, which y'all on YouTube call corn, replacing the P with C, is when you start to form a relationship in your mind with someone that's on the computer, on the phone. It pulls you away from your partner. You start to get distant, and you start to fulfill yourself and take care of yourself with just you. And now there's no longer a need and a true affection and attraction for your partner, because you can go online and you can see somebody that looks better to you, nicer body, better skin, whatever it may be. And now from there, you got this new connection, and you start to form this digital union, and you pull back from your partner, and now your partner is your roommate. They are co-ed, bill payer. Y'all splitting the bills, but you getting all your fulfillment just mentally and emotionally from online. And so you have to think about that and realize that that's one of the key reasons of how you become emotionally distant. Now, the second reason, and these is not necessarily in order because it could change around. The second reason is actually cheating, emotional cheating with a real person in real life, and or physically cheating with a real person in real life. Now, those things don't just happen on their own. They're typically the byproduct of a breakdown in communication and a buildup of resentment. So when you start to look and find everything that you can wrong with your partner, you start to build resentment. And as you start to build resentment, now you will be open to that work husband or work wife. You will be open to that Facebook or Instagram husband or wife, and you start to have those conversations, and you start to build in that way, build in that arena. And before you realize it, you'll be in a situation where you dealing with somebody, whether it be emotional or physical or both, and it's all because of the breakdown in your own relationship, and you let yourself get away from what you really need to be focusing on and doing in that relationship, and now somebody slips in. And it really comes from resentment, contempt, disdain, and that right there will strip your heart from the person you're with. And you'll start to, not necessarily, I don't want to say idolize, but you'll start to pedestalize someone else. Like, oh, this person's smile, this person's laugh, this person's energy, this person's attitude, this person's mindset, mentality. You'll start to feed into that, and you'll start to like that, because what you failing to realize is that the person that you're with, you're seeing all of their flaws. You're seeing the good, bad, and the ugly. You literally smelling their stuff. You smelling their stuff. You putting up with their dirty clothes, their bad days, their attitudes. Everything that's bad, you got to deal with it, and you got to go through it with that person. And then when you go to work, or you get on social media, or you get on your phone texting to the fake name, you texting with Domino's or Pizza Hut, and it's that other person. And that right there, y'all not close enough to argue. You don't have the space and the time to argue. So that conversation is just good. That conversation is just peaceful. Y'all peaceful, happy. You just having a good conversation. It's just having a conversation. And y'all just building it. So now you start to use that as an escape and a safe place. And you start to feel good about that, because you don't have to deal with the real parts of life, the real things in life. And so you become emotionally distant from your partner, and you get closer to this other person, and you're now so far drifted that it feels like you in another relationship with this person over here. And that relationship it's a Decepticon. It's deceiving you, but you start to worship it, and you start to feel like it's the answer to your prayers. But it's just tickling your fancy. It's new. It's fun. You getting to know the person all over. It's a new experience. It's a new feeling. It's a new fling. It's a new thing. And so now you getting to know this person, and it's just so titillating, stimulating. And the person you've been with, now they old news. And that's when we go into what we always talk about, the shiny object or the shiny toy syndrome, to where the same thing that you have gone through with the person that you're with, you'll go through the same thing with this person you cheating with. You'll have the same kind of arguments, the same kind of fallouts, the same kind of heartache, the same kind of heartbreak, the same frustrations, the more you get to know them. That's just human nature, and it's just a natural path for humans. You're gonna go through that. But you don't realize that because you're not in the trenches with that other person. You just in the fun zone. You just having fun. Y'all just talking. Y'all just building. Y'all don't get enough time together. But when you got to live with somebody, or you got to be with somebody hours a day, or you got to talk to them hours a day, it's a lot more room for error. It's a lot more room for disagreements. And that's what starts to happen, and we don't process that. And we don't realize how deep and intense that it can get. And we start to compare, but we miss comparing. And so what you have to look at is the early signs. You want to pay attention to the signs. And the early signs of disconnection. You're going to see small spouts. Just little spouts of frustration. Just little spouts of, being frustrated, being annoyed. It's going to be little annoyances to where you sitting there and you arguing about nothing. Just a little nitpicking here and there. And you start to have the beg to differ spirit, is what I call it. So your partner say right, you say left. They say up, you say down. They say go, you say stop. Just beg to differ. Just argue. Just back and forth. Yeah, you always got to get your opinion out. It don't move the story forward. It doesn't help anything, but you just got to get it off your chest. You just got to get it out there. You playing devil's advocate. You playing devil's advocate, and it's starting to hurt you. And that right there, that's an early sign. It's an early sign. The next thing you're going to know outside of the nitpicking and the little arguing is you're going to notice physical distance. So you're going to have staying out the house longer, working overtime, coming home and sitting in the car for 20, 30 minutes, coming in the house and going into another room, going into a corner, going into the bathroom, going into the closet, going somewhere and just disassociating, just disconnecting, getting away, pretending to have a stomach ache so you could sit in the bathroom, pretending to reorganize your closet, reorganize the pantry, coming right home, sitting in the car for 20, 30 minutes, then coming in, changing clothes, and you need to take a walk. You fitness, you working out. You got to go to the gym now. You got to go on a walk. And it ain't for health, it's really for distance. And so that actual distance is going to be another thing. Another sign is going to be going to bed mad. Not really talking. Not hugging or kissing or anything of the sorts. You going to bed mad. Doing all that right there. And that's another sign. That's going to be another thing that plays into what you got going on. And so you start to process, you start to think, you go to realizing, okay, hold on now. We getting distant for real. Like we're not even talking like we was. We not going on walks together. We not going on dates. We hanging out more. We doing too many guys nights, too many girls nights. That's going to be another sign. The next sign, and remember these interchangeable can be in any order. I'm just throwing out some of the signs. The next sign gonna be selling out. What I mean by that is now you hating on your partner. You calling your friend, and all you doing is bashing your partner. You calling your sister, your brother, your mama, your daddy. You hating on your partner to your coworker, somebody you barely even get to talk to, and you hating. Now you selling them out. Now you becoming an enemy behind the lines because you're a sellout. Now you hating on your partner, but yet you living with this person. You letting this person help pay bills. You having sex with this person every now and then, or when you get horny, or when whatever. Y'all doing that out of convenience. That's another thing. If you marry and the intimacy stops, where somebody want to do it and the other person always saying no. That's another sign of that distance, that separation. So you got to realize this, because think about it. With your partner, if you truly love them and you truly care for them and you truly with them, you don't want to talk bad about them to nobody. You don't want to bash them. You want to talk good about them. You want to sing their praises. When you going to people and you bashing your partner, that's a sign of a disconnect. That's a sign of emotional disconnection. You showing those signs because how you moving. So you got to look and you got to realize, like, okay, what's going on now? What am I doing? Like, why am I hating on my partner? Why am I talking bad? And then what happens is that with that emotional disconnection, another fallout from that is when other people start to look and say, hold on, I ain't really feeling your person. So they start to disrespect them, show up at the same place and don't speak but be real short, be real distant, be a little disrespectful. Things starting to change in your person. Like, hold on now, what's going on? Like, hold on, did I do something? Like what's really going on? Like, let's talk about this thing now. Like, what we got here? What we got going on? And so that starts to happen, and you start to realize, like, okay, I see. So now you got to come to terms and you got to say, all right, are we still actually together? Like, are we in this thing together? Or are we enemies now? And so you have to pay attention. If you selling your person out, that's an early sign of emotional disconnection. If you stand away from them and avoiding phone calls, early sign of emotional disconnection. Y'all arguing every day, every other day, even every other day. That's our early sign of emotional disconnection. So you have to think about that and really start the process. And then what you want to do is get to the root of this. What is the root of this contempt? What's the root of this frustration, of this disrespect, this dislike? What's the root of this? Where is this coming from? And you got to really get all the way there. And then once you start to get there, now you start to realize. Y'all forgive me, my wife text me, so y'all will hear that right there pop up. Y'all forgive me. Queen first. Sorry about that. I just went ahead and paused it, so that way I wouldn't be on there too long. My wife flying out with Tatum today. One of my supporters online has a suite at one of the soccer stadiums, and they get a away trip that's fully paid for by the club. And so he offered it to me, and I was supposed to be in Chicago with the boys, but being that we didn't, raise all the funds and have all the staff in place for that, we couldn't go. And so I had gave it to my wife and Tatum, and so they got to fly down today for the flight tomorrow. So I want you to think about that. And as you start the process and you start to get to that place to where you can look at these signs and see, like, okay, this is a space that we're in, or that we were in. Even if you're not in it, I want you to think about where you were separated but together, or emotionally distant but yet calling it love or calling it a relationship. Because a lot of people, we get into that place and we make that mistake. And you have to think about this, because what goes into this, you have, busyness, children, stress, and resentment. And all of those things can play a part. So with the busyness, I remember, and give you an example, because sometimes women, it's a lot of women that I've heard, they'll say, oh, I want a man who make this and he make that. I want a man that this, guess what? To make money, it take time. You gotta work. You don't just make money. You don't just make that 75,000 or more a year, or that 6 figures, or that 250, just sitting there looking handsome. He got to work. And so that busyness can cause disconnection. It can lead to disconnection. And I remember I was probably making $500,000 a year, and I had a few different jobs. But one of the jobs I had as a consultant was $60,000. It was paying $5,000 a month, just a flat straight check, $5,000 a month that'll come to the mailbox. And I remember I'll be gone, and I'll be consulting this company for 2 days a week. And then sometimes they would ask me to stay, and I'd be there for 3 or 4 days a week. And then I would fly home like on Thursday, and then have to leave again on Friday, or fly home on Wednesday and have to leave on Thursday because I was on tour. And so the consulting gig was only paying $30,000. Tour probably end up paying $150, $200 to $300. And so had to do both. And then also had the life coach, had to ghostwrite, had to do other paid speaking engagements. So it was a lot of different jobs. And I remember one time I came home, and my wife was kind of like real quiet, real solemn. And she had two boys. We got 2 sons, and our youngest son was probably 1 year old. So he was a handful. And I was gone at minimum 2 days, some days 5, 6 days in the week. And I say, why you acting, so distant? Why you act like you ain't happy to see me, or what have you? And I wasn't cheating on her. I ain't had nobody in the hotel room. I wasn't doing nothing, but I was having fun. I was living the dream. And she said, I can't really relax and get comfortable because then you got to leave again. And she was like, I just feel like a single parent. I ain't signed up for this. So we became emotionally distant. And that's what a lot of times when women asking for a man who earn a lot of money or 6 figures, a lot of times don't realize you asking for a very busy man. You asking for a man that may have to travel a lot. And then yet you want to have a white picket fence, and you want to have a house. And so you start a family. So now you got this family. But yet you got this here going on. And you having these kids, and you feeling alone. And your postpartum or whatever it may be, premenopause, perimenopause, I don't know what y'all call it, menopause. If it's after that, later in the age, you might not want nobody around you, like a nanny, house cleaner. You might not want a bunch of people in your house all the time. And so now you feeling alone. And it starts to cause that busyness, or cause that disconnection. The same thing with children. A lot of times men check out when children come because the woman makes the children her world. And the children are dependents. The man is independent. The man is grown. Y'all gotta forgive me when the phone buzz like that. Sitting up there, the calendar going on. So the man is the man is a independent. So being that the man is independent, the woman like, the kids need me. And so the kids might get their food. The kids might get their food made first. They getting the head rubs. They getting the bath water ran. Like, the kids getting everything. And then the man, a lot of times, will feel neglected. Will feel overlooked. Will feel unappreciated. Y'all gotta forgive me, I'm tired. And especially if it's a situation where we paying all the bills. And so I went through that as well early on in our marriage. And so I not only did I go through it, but I coach on it. And I heard so many other men say the same thing. And sometimes it's vice versa. Sometimes it's a man who putting everything into the kids. And that just was his dream, to be a father. And the woman, she want a nanny. She want daycare. She want dates. She want solo trips. And the man like, nah, I got to be there for my kids. And then the man want to put his kids in extracurricular. Put the kids in sports. Now the kids traveling all over the place. Sports costing all this money. Practice 4 days a week. Game Saturday and Sunday. And the woman like, why are we doing all this? Why we got to be following these kids around with all these sports? Why the sports got to be so serious? Then we got all that right there going on. And the relationship is just dwindling. It's just dwindling. And that right there, you would think that, okay, we having kids. These are kids. We love these kids. This is a thing of love. Like, this is love. This is happiness. This is peace and joy. This is beautiful. But kids can actually tear a relationship down if the balance is not kept. If you're not being intentional about it, you could end up moving the wrong way. You could end up to where you're taking, and y'all got to forgive me real quick. You could end up to where you take and you got a situation of like, you got a situation of where, okay, we will see there. They trying to, you got a situation to where, oh, y'all forgive me, I got this right here. To where you taking and you got this thing, you supposed to be coming together and building and loving, and the next thing you know, y'all falling apart. And one or both of the parents marries the kids. You ain't want to hear about that now. Yeah, it's a lot of moms that will marry their son or daughter and will put the child before their spouse. And what I mean by that is the spouse get completely neglected. And it's a lot of fathers who will marry their son or daughter. And I know that sounds disgusting, but what I mean is you spiritually make your child your spouse, to where now you neglecting your actual spouse for the child. Because although a child is the dependent and the child needs a lot, you can't completely and fully expend yourself on a child. Here's what I mean by that. When your child is taking a nap, even if you need to nap with your spouse, you need to lay in your spouse's arms and fall asleep. Or you need to get you a little quickie in. You tired, but it ain't nothing but a hole in a stick. You either got a stick or you got a hole. Get over it. It ain't got to be acrobatics. You ain't got to swing from ceiling fans. Get you a 30-second in, and then take you a nap with your baby while your baby's sleeping. But it's like we get to the place where we want everything to be perfect. If we stress from work, we stress about money, we stress about this, we stress about that, we put our spouse on the back burner. And that's how that distance starts to happen. And so you got to take and be able to compartmentalize. You got a baby, put the baby on the nanny cam, put the baby in the crate, in the little play place, have some safe things in there that the baby can't hurt themselves. The nanny cam right there. Now you in your room with your spouse, Y'all watching the baby on the nanny cam. You can mute it for a second. Listen, a man who is in love with his woman, we're not finna do all no lasting. All that 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes, all that is, that's all, that got to be from appeal or disdain and hate. If you in love with the woman you sleeping with, you'd be lucky to get past a minute, 3 minutes. And is that you just going because you in shape, you got stamina, or you on some kind of pill, or you already took care of yourself and pleasured yourself, and now you on round 2, so you got stamina. But other than that, you could do what y'all need to do and have a baby or have kids. Lock your door. Hey, mom and daddy finna take a nap. The door is locked. Call your brother. Talk to your brother. Sit here, if they of age, of course. Knock on the door. Hey, I'm changing clothes. Knock on the door. Hey, I'm about to take a shower. Knock on the door. Make sure the house secure and everything's safe and all of that. But you got to prioritize and make that time. You can't let kids be the reason that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You can't do that. So understand that. So understand that right there. And let me see here. Now, as you process that and you start to realize, I want you to think about that. The next thing I want you to think about is, on this here, is stress. And how stress can cause emotional distance. And how that stress can break your relationship down. And that stress can lead you to a silent breakup. That stress is real. Y'all gotta forgive me because my wife texted me and she's getting ready. That stress will break you down. Because what does stress do? It make you seclude yourself. It make you go into a shell and be real quiet, or it makes you nasty. Now you get mean, you get rude, you get snappy. You stressing because money ain't doing what you want it to do. And I remember when I was a young entrepreneur, anytime things would get tight financially, I would get rude. I would get nasty. I started to realize it when I stepped outside of myself and looked in. I started to realize, and one thing I started to notice is that my wife, her demeanor would never change. She was still, we could be flat broke, and she would still laugh and joke and have a good time. And when I talked to her about it, and I was commending her, I was praising her in our marriage, and I was like, babe, you really have shown me like you're a real one. And that when I get stressed and I'm worried about finances, like you still laughing and joking, like you want to pop popcorn and watch Netflix. And I can't focus. Like I got to make some money. And she was like, she said, I was evicted from an apartment 16 times before the 9th grade. She said, I've had to sleep in a car. I've had to live, my mom and I have had to live with my aunt for months at a time. She was like, we used to go through the Taco Bell drive-through and get a bean burrito for 89 cents and split it down the middle. She was like, so if I having a roof over my head and a car to drive, she was like, not having money in the bank account don't bother me. She's like, because I know you're going to make money. She's like, I know it's going to come. And I'm like, you either got a lot of faith in me or a lot of faith in God. And she said, both. She's like, but I got faith in you. And that right there, that hit me. And you see how it take two? That hit me and that impacted me. So I started to learn, and I'm saying, you know what? I can't take out something that I have no control over. All I could do is work. All I could do is work. All I could do is create. All I could do is try to sell. If it ain't working, it ain't working. Ain't nothing I could do about it. I got to come up with another idea. That's all I could do. But at the end of the day, I got to lock in. And I can't take it out on my wife. I can't get mad with my wife. And see, what happened is that stress from work, stress from finances, stress from friends, stress from family, stress from health. Stress can come from a myriad of different places. Speaking of, I need to check on my guy because he's going through a lot of pain in his body. And that's what I had to realize and understand. So I stopped taking out on my wife. And I stopped getting anxiety. I stopped stressing. I stopped worrying. And I just started saying, I trust you, Lord. I trust you. I trust you. Lord, I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know why it's going to happen. But I trust you. Something going to happen. A breakthrough going to happen. A breakthrough going to come. Something got to give. Something got to move. I say, I know you, Lord, and I know you going to do something. And I say that right there. I'll put that out there. I'll let that go. And boom, something will happen. A breakthrough will come. And I'll take and get me a reset. And so you got to realize, you got to think about that, and you got to realize. And you got to understand and come to that place of realization. So you can see, y'all forgive me, look, something in here. And what that stress will do. And what you have to do is you got to de-stress. If you need to meditate, if you need to stretch, if you need to walk, if you need to read, whatever you got to do, you got to woosah. You got to do you. You got to do you. And you got to make something happen. So that stress don't break you down, because you will be broken up and still together just because of stress. And that stress is also what leads into resentment, what I talked about earlier. It'll lead into that resentment, and your partner really ain't did nothing to you. You could resent your partner just from internal. Partner ain't did nothing to you, ain't said nothing to you, ain't hurt you, ain't did none of the sort, and you will be resenting your partner all because of your stress. And that resentment will have you get distant, have you talking to other people, have you being rude, being mean, being nasty. And when you look at it, you're like, I love you, but I don't like you. I love you, but I don't like you. And I done went through that. I never felt that from my wife. It might be like a moment, it might be a sentence, it might be an hour, but I've never felt like resentment. But I went through spiritual warfare in my marriage, to where it was kind of like, I knew it was a spiritual attack because of what I'm called to do. You see what I'm teaching on this week? Like, whatever you teach on, you're gonna be tested. So when I'm talking to y'all, I ain't talking to y'all just from no talking head. I done been through it all. I done did it all, seen it all. I done been through it. And I remember going through a season of resentment. And it probably was a couple years into marriage. Within the first 3 years. And I went through a season of resentment, of like feeling like comparing my wife to other women. Wanting a woman that works different, talks different, acts different, dresses different, whatever it was. I remember I went through the season of desiring a boss babe, one of those 6-figure earning women. And I went through that season, entrepreneurial women. You know, the young lady, she went viral for saying she don't want a man who work a 9 to 5. She an entrepreneur, and she needs somebody who is an entrepreneur, who understand entrepreneur lifestyle. and all of that. And it was very ignorant, but I went through that mindset. So when she said, I said, I know the ignorant mindset she in. So she don't even realize what she's saying. She asking for the same puzzle piece to stack on top of her. When a relationship is like a puzzle, you don't need somebody cut just like you. You don't need somebody shaped just like you. You need your opposite. So when my dreams took me to traveling, if my wife was a boss babe, an entrepreneur, and all of that going on, I'm going this way, she going that way, the kids with a nanny. We had a friend whose daughter broke her leg with the nanny. You see what I mean? So the Lord started to show me, he said, hold on, that's of the world. He said, that's of the world. He said, what I put together, let no man tear asunder. He said, I got you exactly the woman that you need. And that right there brought me out of that resentment. I started to get happy. So right now I started the boys program. And I have a goal. I want to be a GM, general manager of a basketball team on the college level. And I want to do it on the Division I level to help them raise funds. And it's a college that's not too far away from me. And I asked my wife, a university, I say, if I get the job, will we be okay? Like if I got to work down there, let's say I got to work down there during the week and come home for the weekends. Or if I got to, work down there, boom, and then come home or whatever. Would that be okay? And she said, yeah. She said, it'd be fine. I said, you wouldn't start to resent me? You wouldn't cheat on me? She's like, no. She was like, I realized when you were just out of town with the boys program, we talked on the phone for like 2-3 hours. She said, we talk more when you gone than when you home. She was like, so it could be something for the good. I said, all right. I said, it's a good way to look at it. And I realized as a man, if you confident, and we've been married 18 years, so we ain't got to keep sniffing each other behind. So, but if you confident and you're not codependent, then you could do something like that without the resentment. But guess what? If I had a boss babe, which my wife is still a boss babe, it's just in a different way. But if I had a boss babe to where she a CEO, she a doctor, she a lawyer, she got to work all these hours, and then here I am as the provider, as the head of the household, the man of the house, and I'm going out to hunt and kill. I'm going out to get it how I live. And my wife too busy for the kids, and so she really need me to be a stay-at-home dad. But then I'm the head. I'm the one who's supposed to be working. I'm the one who's supposed to be taking the darts of the world. But she competing with me to see who could take the most darts of the world, who could conquer the most in the world. So now I'm here, she there. And that's what a lot of people got. And then realize why their son grow up all over the place. Or they daughter all over. Daughter sliding down a pole. And mom and dad are like, what in the world happened? What we did wrong? Stacked on top of each other. And built resentment. Because you didn't know what you needed. So you got to think about this. You got to break it on down. You got to get on into that. Y'all forgiving one of my clients right now. And so this is what you got to do. So what we got to think about is after you realize this, you have to ask yourself, how do we reignite? How do we reignite? When we talk about that kindle, we talk about that flame. How do we reignite emotional intimacy and curiosity? Okay, somebody that booked the session. And this is what me and my wife had to do. And I had to take the lead. So somebody got to take the lead. So I said, okay. Baby, what we going to do? Every week, we're going to go on a date. Every week we're going on a date. So whether that's Monday or Friday, we're going on a date. Now it got to be expensive. It is expensive, but we did that. The reconnect. Another thing I said, I'm gonna put my phone down 7 o'clock. Sometimes we both on our phone and we just sitting and we chilling, and we actually have agreed that we like that. That it's kind of fun to us to be sitting in the bed and we talking, we scrolling. I'm showing her what's on my timeline. She's showing me what's on her timeline. And we instead of letting the phone separate us, we let the phone bring us together. And we utilize the phone for content, something to talk about. And we may have something playing on the TV that's something facetious, Love Island type of situation. We don't watch it though. And I don't. My wife says she don't like watching it. She says she don't like watching reality TV like that for whatever reason. I don't like watching it. It's very cringe. So we got that in common. So we'll put like one of them crime documentaries or a sports documentary, or we'll put some on in the background. Or sometimes she'll be reading her Kindle, or she'll be reading a book, or she on her phone on TikTok, and I'll put me a movie on, and I'll watch the movie. Kick back, read likes, watch me a whole movie. And so we'll just sit and we'll build. You have to put some things in place. You got to put it on the calendar. So you got to look at your partner. You got to realize what's their time of the day. Like when are they, just really just got it going. When they got it going. If it's in the morning, then you get up and you have your intimacy in the morning. If it's at noon, and y'all work from home, have your intimacy at noon. If it's 5 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 p.m., whatever it is, you take and you have that intimacy. Whether that's actual, all the way physical, or whether that's cuddling, hugging, kissing, talking, whatever it is. But you got to be intentional about it. And so you looking and you saying, okay, this is how we reignite this emotional intimacy. And then you have to have time where the phone is put down. The phone is down, and y'all got to forgive me that I can't put my phone down right now. And you have to have that time to where you have that intimacy. And the phone is down, and you working together, you talking, y'all having good conversation, you talking about the day. Like, I'm gonna miss my wife tonight. She texted me a little earlier. She said, already missing you and regretting going. Because they about to go to New Jersey. Now, me personally, I was like, I miss my wife, but I don't miss my wife. It's like I miss her, but men are built different. And I know sometimes women, you can't hear that. And but you got to remember, we wired to be deployed. We wired to go hunt, to go to war. So we will miss our woman, but not to where we like curled up in a fetal position. I noticed my wife actually misses me like in a real way whenever I'm gone, because she would just clean, and she will clean like never before. I mean, she'll have whatever she cleaning will be spotless, and it's to like keep herself active and engaged and keep herself going. But when I'm home, I notice she want to just be around me. She want to sit and just be around me. And if she'll still clean sometimes, but she don't do as well cleaning when I'm home. And she'll tell me, she was like, see, when you home, I don't get nothing done, because she just want to be around me for whatever reason. I don't know, but I just take it for what it is. And so sometimes I'll just get away. Like, I plan a business trip, and I go on a business trip. I'm working on a company right now, and I'm seeking an investor at like $15K to $50K to go ahead and get the company across the finish line. Then I'm gonna tell y'all about it and need y'all to sign up now. I need you to sign up. And so I'm gonna go meet with an investor, and one of y'all got it and want to invest, then hey, man, you might go in business. But it's just, you got to have a partner before you go out to Palo Alto. They want to see you got a partner. and they don't like solo projects on the tech side of things. And so I might just go do a business meeting just so she can have that time to clean what she want to clean, do what she want to do, because we just be kicking and lounging. And that is something that I took and put on the schedule. I put my phone down and I strike up a conversation and I talk to her. And she'll just call me sometime, like right now I'm working, I'm trying to earn money. I'm working and I'll be working on a project. She'll call me out the blue. Hey, I want to tell you about this right here, blah, 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 blah. She'll be talking, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? Hey, I'm working on something right now. Oh, okay, well, just call me back. And just be wanting to interrupt. And then when she gone, hey, I kick on back because I'm a loner. I have me some long time. But you have to be intentional about how you rebuild that emotional intimacy and that curiosity. And I love the fact too, I got a very, what we'll have like I have a very conservative wife, very conservative, and she has her own story, and y'all gotta forgive me. And when we went on this solo parents vacation, I think it was just 3 nights in Turks and Caicos, she bought 3 lingeries. Now we old, so we ain't got all that gusto, but just the fact that she bought those 3 lingeries, it said so much to me. It said that she said, I appreciate us getting away. I love you. I'm still attracted to you, and I want you to know it. And I want to show you that I care. And I want to show you that although our life is crazy and busy and all of this right here, that we still can be attracted to each other, hot and steamy, whatever it is. I should have bought me some silk pajamas or something. And so when you think about that, that means something. And a lot of times we don't process it. Y'all got to forgive my son texting me. My 18-year-old. He texts me a lot. He wanted my tattoo. 18, that's when I got my first tattoo. That's when his mama got her first tattoo and all that. So he trying to be on my good side. So, and just like I thought in this right here, in this space, you want to think about date nights, vulnerability, meaning open conversation, and non-sexual touch exercises. And this happened last night. Give you a prime example. Is my wife was cleaning a long time yesterday. She cleaned throughout the day. Her watch or whatever it was said she had over 13,000 steps. How? I don't know how to calculate 13,000 steps just walking around the house cleaning. But that's what it said. So her feet was hurting bad, and she got plantar fasciitis, little issues. So we were sitting in the kitchen at the little table, little dinette table, and I got out of my chair, come over to this chair right here. She's sitting in this chair right there, and I put her feet in my lap, and I massaged both of her feet. And then when we got in the bed, she was having restless leg syndrome, and feet was still hurting her, so I had her put her feet over to my side of the bed, and I massaged both her feet again. And we ain't do nothing. It ain't go nowhere else. And we always talk about, online, you always see people talking about, like, a man will say, let me give you a massage, and then boom, middle of the massage, he already trying to do something. And I done been that man, I done that, and it'd be very frustrating to the woman when the man only want to touch her for intercourse. So one of the things that helps you rebuild that connection is physical touch, intimate touch, without any type of further reward. It's like just massage shoulders, play on the scalp, rub the back, massage the feet, hold hands, hug, cuddle, kiss. Do those type of things to rebuild that connection. And another thing, what you want to do is you want to have some vulnerability. So it's I probably could count on one hand, maybe two, how many times my wife has been vulnerable in the sense of like a fear, a worry, a concern. And then she is like a big kid sometimes in the sense of, are you proud of me for cleaning? You didn't say anything. And she'll say it with a little bit of attitude. And I'm like, wow, so that means something. Like she want me to reinforce her and like praise her for doing that. And then I do the same thing. Baby, you seen this? You seen I did that? Hey, I was making a post today and I went to her and I was questioning myself. I didn't know. I didn't know if the audio I chose for the post was a good audio. I'm about to go look at it right now, and I asked her, baby, how you felt about that post on the TGE. I asked my wife, how you felt about that post? And who is this? It's a player. Oh. And she said, I like it. She said, I like it. I was like, I hope it don't like offend nobody or step on nobody's toes. And then I'll bring it back up a few more times. I'll bring it back up. And just talking to her about it. And that's me expressing vulnerability. Like, here's something I'm worried about. Here's something I'm thinking about. And I think a lot of times in couples, in a relationship, we do either way too much or almost none at all. And you got to be able to show your partner that you're willing to be vulnerable so that they know that you trust them, you love them, you there for them. And I actually got to go because my wife got to be at the airport at 5:45 and it's 4:33. So I actually got to get ready to head on up out of here. Lock on up. So, hey, get this in your spirit. And what I want you to do with these hour-long videos, if you don't like advertisements, then upgrade to premium on YouTube. What you'll want to do is go to youtube.com on the browser, log in, and then sign up for premium so that you paying just between you and Google. If you on the YouTube app on the iPhone or something and you sign up for YouTube Premium, then it may be more expensive because Apple has a fee. Get YouTube Premium and it'll cut out the ads so that you can listen to it ad free. It can be minimized. You could be scrolling, looking at other things. You can swipe out of the app and go to your text message and it still be playing with Premium. You could do all that with Premium. Stretch your mind, have an abundant mindset if you learning and you growing. But also, when you listen to this one time, you listen to it driving, you listen to it working, sit down and listen to it and take notes. And make sure you're taking notes and you're learning and you're growing, because even if you're not in this place, you might find yourself in this place when you get in a relationship or later in your relationship. Or you may be able to look back and realize what you should have done or could have done better so that if it happens again, you know what to do. You also, if you struggle sleeping, you got insomnia, sit this away from your head and just let it play. Just let it play. You could create a playlist out of these hour-long videos and just let it play and just play you right on to sleep. That way it's in your subconscious. You learning as you sleeping. So I want you to think about this and process this and get this in your spirit. And shout out to my subscribers, Blessed Tribe, Blessed Business Tribe, Patreon, and most importantly right now in this season of my life, to the donors of Tony Gaston Family Foundation. Thank you so much for your support. All the important links is in the description. If you need a life coach, get over to mymentor.life. Somebody just wrote me, and God said somebody trying to trademark mymentor.life, like trying to steal it or something. I said, boy, folks is crazy. Folks is crazy how they be acting. But hey, God bless you, and we will talk soon. Click the links in the description, and I'll see you tomorrow, Lord willing.